What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, we got to talk about the RE4 news. Now, this happened over on Twitter, and I was actually going to record a different video, and I was like, no, with this news that just came out, I can't possibly not talk about it, okay? So I wanted to get this up to you guys as quickly as possible. Few things. Number one, talking about Twitter. Make sure you guys are following me over there at Twitter. Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. I'll leave a link for it in the description below. While you're at it, make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, all that good stuff, right? All right, so let's get into it. I don't really think we need to go over the entire article of Video Game Chronicles. It seems like they do a really good job. Now, this is a leak. This is their own internal sources that have said this stuff, so we do have to take it with a grain of salt, but honestly, like with anything Capcom related over the last year, is anything really secret? No, everybody kind of knows everything that's going on at Capcom. And so it basically boils down to this. The team, the development team, M2s, that's what it's called. M-2s is in the number. And they made the RE3 remake. Their role in the development of Resident Evil 4's remake has been significantly reduced. Capcom Division 1 has taken over the project. The reports mentioned that there have been some disagreements. This comes from Nibel, by the way, on Twitter. Great person to follow, by the way. There have been disagreements between Capcom and M2. The former, okay, so this is Capcom, pushed for more changes to Resident Evil 4's remake, while the latter prefers a more one-to-one remake because of the backlash to RE3. They also state that RE4 is being partially rebooted now and is slated for 2023. So those are the biggest things to take away from it, that it seems like the team that made RE3 remake, the team that was going to make or that has been making RE4's remake, has been basically taken off the project for the most part, and it's been given to a different studio. And because of all this garbage that's going on, the game is going to get delayed. So remember, I mean, this is honestly, like, this sucks. This is Capcom. Number one, I'm blaming Capcom here, by the way, if you guys want to know where I stand. I actually would take M2's side over it. This is Capcom not understanding, like, the fans, I would argue. I really would argue it's Capcom not having a good pulse and just doing a stupid decision. You know, they have been doing a really good job at least giving us. Now, I'm not saying I demand a Resident Evil game every single year. At this point, it's kind of become common because this will literally be year 3 years in a row of getting a new Resident Evil game. And honestly, because we know the games that are coming from them over the next 4 years, remember that Capcom data breach, we know that there's an RE game, a Resident Evil game, the next like 3 to 4 years, every single year there was a new game. Okay, so they really were trying to make it so that 6-7 years in a row they'd be able to get a new Resident Evil game out to us, and you know, that's good as long as it's done well. I mean, again, I'm not going to demand that we have to get that, because when you do that, you get into an Assassin's Creed deal, you get into a Call of Duty deal, you get into stuff like that, and normally those don't work out. Call of Duty's done a reasonable job, but Assassin's Creed, obviously we saw what happened when you put out a game every single year. You look at sports games, right? It's not a good job. It's not a good look. Even if you have different studios kind of, you know, bouncing off and, you know, rotating, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So the delay sucks, like an extra year sucks. At the same time, like, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's the reasoning, though. It really, you know, now I gotta be honest with you guys, I didn't play Resident Evil 3's remake. I did play 2. I did play 2's remake. I loved it. I loved it to death. Everybody, I think, loved it. 3 came out, and remember, the thing with 3 is, yeah, it was a much more split game. Not everybody loved it. I would say it was definitely more in the middle, to be completely honest with you guys. But one of the biggest problems with that game that I even saw people say, I read a lot of reviews, I saw a lot of stuff on it, one of the biggest problems that people had said was that the changes was that this is not RE3, and RE3 is a good game, okay, and this is not that, and, you know, they take out certain parts of the game. It was really a shell of its former game, okay, and that's really, when you think about remakes, that's absolutely not what you do. You don't take big moments, big areas, big levels, big whatever. You don't take things out. If anything, you put more in, but you don't take things out, okay? And now, again, I mean, I believe Video Game Chronicles here, so if Capcom wants Resident Evil 4, and see, that's a much more sensitive topic. It actually is quite annoying with something like that, because RE4 is universal. It's, you know, RE2, RE3, RE1, like, people love, not everybody loves them. RE4 definitely has, I think, like, just the word of mouth, or like the way people perceive that game is like, it's universally loved. I loved it. A lot of people loved it. Okay, it's universally loved. And why would you want to change it? You know what I mean? It's like that's like in 10, 20 years from now, remaking Uncharted 2, okay, and taking out certain parts of it. When and you could do it. The example could be used for any game. Pick a game that is universally loved by critics and fans, and then remake it, and then take parts out of it. Why would you do that? Why? And RE4 is one of those games. It is a universally loved game. Yeah, sure, there's problems with it, but it's good the way it is. You don't need to radically change it. It seems like Capcom wants to go down that path, while this team, you know what? Although they made RE3 and it wasn't all that great, it seems like Capcom has a really big say to them. They forced them to do it with RE3. It seems like they were going to force them to do it with RE4, and they weren't having it. Now, not having it results in the game being taken away from them, so that really sucks. And again, it delays it. So not only are we going to, again, have to wait 2 years for the next RE game, which is okay. Like, if that was the case in the first place, if we were going to get Village this year, and then we'd have to wait 2 years to get the next Resident Evil game, if that was the case in the beginning, that would be fine, okay? But not only do we need to wait 2 more years, not only is the game delayed, but then when it comes out, it's a 50-50. You know, again, like, they in the Video Game Chronicles said, like, RE2, RE3, they both had problems. They both had, like, the people working on them, there were issues throughout the entire thing for both those games. So it's not like there hasn't been adversity in the games in the past, but you look at a game like this, and I guess, you know, RE3 could have worked. You know, even though you take some things out, it didn't work. That's kind of the way I want to say, right? The game, I would say, from what I saw, now I'm sure there's people that love it, okay? But from what I saw of RE3, it didn't work the path that they wanted to go. Not saying it couldn't work, but again, why would you want to try that on one that's universal? So, like, if you remade RE5, which I don't think you should really remake 5 and 6, but I feel like at some point that'll probably happen. If you do that, that is probably your opportunity to change things. If you want to change anything in Resident Evil, wait till you get to the games that were a bit more mixed. You know, you took 5 down an action-adventure way, which was okay. I actually enjoyed Resident Evil. I've played it with one of my closest friends. We had a blast, but we weren't really die-hard Resident Evil fans. We were playing it because it was a fun, cooperative action game. Okay, we weren't playing it because it was Resident Evil, and we didn't know the massive changes they had made to the game at the time. Okay, so, like, but if you wanted to change anything, change that game. Take out a lot of the action parts, put in some spooky stuff. You know, whatever, however you want to do it. You know, experiment on something like that. Don't experiment with a game like 4. If you remake Resident Evil 4, keep it the same, or keep it the same and add to it. Don't completely don't radically change it, which it seems like they're going to do. Now, it's not even a case of like, well, they tried and they luckily, like, the good guys prevailed and they aren't going to do it. No, they tried. They were met with some opposition by their development team. They said, well, that's nice. See you guys later. We're taking the game with us. And then they were just giving it to somebody else to do what they want. So that is not, it's just not a good look. I have been more supportive of Capcom probably than others. I feel really bad for them because of the data breach that happened over the last couple months where, you know, they got hacked and the employee situation came out, and, you know, even like the schedule for all the games. Like, I love knowing when these games are releasing, but at the same time, you don't want to hack somebody to get it. So I've been on their side pretty steadily. I'm really excited for Village. I really love 2. I absolutely love Biohazard, okay, Resident Evil 7. So I really appreciate what Capcom has done. I think they're on. Capcom used to be like a laughingstock. Personally, to me, I don't know about everybody else, but personally to me, I used to laugh at Capcom. I used to think of them like a Konami or something like that equivalent back in the day. I don't really know why, but I did. Right now, I'm pretty much on their side. Something like this, it's just a stupid idea, and it's a really bad look, to be completely honest with you. It's a really bad look. I don't want to. Now when I think of Capcom, I have to think of this, and I don't want that. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think this is going to be a problem? Do you think RE4 will now not be as good? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, have the bell icon turned on so you know when I do all of these videos. Again, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, PodcastNow15 is my Twitter handle. Would love to have you guys over there. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you all on the next video.